Hey friends, it's Liron here. Welcome to another How to Draw video. This time I want to do something a little different. I'll show you how I'm building a scene. Right now I'm doing a lot of urban sketching, and this is something that I wanted to try and do something new. Actually plan the scene out. So what I did, on the left you can see the actual picture I took here in my city. I printed it out and I'm putting it side by side with my sheet of paper. And what I'm doing is actually building the way the scene is going to look. I started by creating the basic main lines. You can see the line here for the sidewalk, and the horizon line as well is represented by this line. We have this fence here. You can barely see it in the video, but there's this fence here and the building behind it. And the way I approached this is simply by creating this square just to crop out what I want to include in my drawing. This is something that I learned from Alfonso Dan. I'll add a link to his channel. He's very talented. And then I just create that same crop here and just start planning it out. So we have the main details that I already added, and now I'm working on adding this woman in the front of the drawing. So I'll just begin by drawing that second wheel, and I'm keeping it very light. I don't want to go too hard on the lines. I want to make sure that I can still change things, switch things around, play with the composition and the proportions. I may have like, she may need to be a little larger, but I'll keep it that way just to see how it pans out. I'm very sparse on the details. Can I say that? Very sparse? Not sure. And the challenging moment will be when I'll actually begin adding her, the driver. This is where it'll get a bit tricky. I even considered drawing her first and only then adding the bike, but oh well. I'll go on and continue drawing, and I'll be back in a few moments. Okay, as you can see, I added the women here, and now there's this tree in the background that I need to add in. I cropped this this way in purpose, because what you want to do is make sure to, at least from my perspective, what you want to do is get two things with the crop. The first thing is you want to get all the interesting details into the drawing. So here you can see I have a larger image, but the rest is not that interesting, so I just left the woman, the cars in the background. I also kept this sort of, what is it, like streetlight post, because it will add to the depth. What I'm going to do is darken it a bit to make it come to the front. So I did want to include this in the drawing as well. So you want to sort of find a nice little balance between adding all the interesting things on one hand and making sure you're not making it too hard for yourself. Because if I create a larger crop or a more complex crop that has like tons of details in it, it's going to be a lot of work, which is fine. But you want to make sure that it's realistic, because you cannot get everything inside the drawing. So it's just a big challenge to have so many details in such a short space. So that's why I wanted to sort of find the balance for me. And now I'm making this tree a little smaller because I saw in the picture that it's a bit smaller, and I want to make some room for the buildings that'll come right about here. And for the buildings, they sort of move away from us, as you can see here. And I hope that I'm not confusing you with moving from side to side. Let me know in the comments below. So you see they're moving away from us. You can see it if I focus here. Okay, so this is what I want to represent by drawing this. So I'll divide the buildings. I use the diagonal line. And you may be able to hear my cat meowing in the background. We just got a new cat, and it's an interesting experience, to say the least. So there we have it. That's one building, keeping it simple. The second one is going to come just around here. And here we'll get the nice sort of moving away effect. So I'm drawing the front of the building, but you'll be able to see the side as well. So that's the side, and it's hidden. Some of it is hidden behind this building. And now to make this even nicer, and it's something that actually happens in the original picture, I'll make the next building taller. So this is the front. And you can see it goes above the previously drawn building, like this. And the rest we can just throw in another one just for the fun. Yep, and this building is the one that's in the front. I'm omitting some of the details because it's not gonna be, realistic to include everything in it. I'll just make some lines more, I'll just define them better, and then I'll start doing the inking, and I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, as you can see, I've added some more details to the drawing. I added the cars, the windows of the buildings, some details on the roofs of the buildings, as well as the fence here. And what I'm going to do now is begin inking this. So I'll begin from the things that are in the front, so from the woman. And what I like to do is, first, you need to balance here two things as well. From my perspective, the first is going from left to right if you're right-handed, and from right to left if you're left-handed, just to make sure you're not going over your own ink and smearing everything and making it all a big disgusting mess. So what I'm going to do is balance it out with working on things that are in the front using a thicker pen. This is an 07, just something I picked up a few days ago. And I'll just begin very simply to go over the lines, but I'm not really going over the lines. What I'm doing is adding details to the lines that I already drew. Now I wanted to go really light with the early guidelines, the sketches that I made. So there may be some mistakes here, which is fine. Let me just grab a thinner pen even, go with the 04. And I really went in light with the guidelines, so yes, there may be some mistakes with the proportions, sizes, things like this. I was willing to accept it when I began drawing this, which is fine from time to time. This is her hand's grip of the steering. And here, I didn't really draw it, but she has a bag. So the bag sort of creates pressure here because of this part. So there's going to be a fold just here under that. And it connects here, and the bag itself is sort of leaning on her back, like this. It has a part that's a bit darker at the bottom. And we can throw in just a quick fold here. Now she has another bag coming from this side and leaning against her side. This is more of a small purse kind of thing. So we'll go ahead and add that to the drawing. Okay, just making sure I'm focused. And then we can move on to the jeans. She has ripped jeans. I really went lighter with the guidelines. I'll usually add some more details. Now her right feet is resting on the ground, and she wears flip-flops. So the flip-flop itself is going to be laying lower. And this is just the way I saw it was in the picture itself, which makes sense. Now here the other sleeve and the other leg. Now you'll be able to see in the picture that the leg that's farther from us is darker, so I'll get that effect in here as well. I'm going to darken it, and what I'm basically going to do is darken this one, darken this to bring it to the front, which is interesting because darkening can also bring to the front but also push to the back. I'll add some trees here, and I'll be back to just when I'm done to show you the final result. Okay, so I'll show you some of the work process here. I have finished inking the woman and the bike, and a nice trick that I used to ink them is, you can see I made the contours a bit stronger and bolder than the rest of the drawing, which creates this pop effect, which is a really nice thing that can help indicate that she's at the front. A very simple trick that I like to use. And here I can go on with the rest of the details and actually make them very light, especially those cars that are way at the back. I can really just go light with them, make some mistakes, it's okay, no problem. I do want to get this one to look nice, so I'll be extra careful there. Now bear in mind that urban sketching in general, when you do use colors, it's actually much easier to portray whatever it is you want to portray. I saw some very, I don't want to say shabby, but even my own examples, but kind of very crooked drawings that turn into masterpieces as soon as they add colors to them. I had that too, and I can see that where the colors can sort of provide support and make the drawing look better just without changing any of the drawing at all, which is nice. In this example, we're not going to rely on that. We're just going to do this black and white. But just bear in mind that it's possible as well. And when working with colors, what I like the most are watercolors. When working with colors, you can kind of let loose and turn the drawing into something that's much more than what it used to be. And also you can really go light on the details, because you can then use the colors to make things pop or hide things. So this is a really nice way of doing it that doesn't require you to go into all of the crazy details in a drawing. Here what I'm going to do is use that same trick to kind of make these lines go a bit thicker than the lines here of those cars in the building, because this car is really at the front. The wheels are going to be black, so I don't even need to go over their contours. I can just go over the contours of the body of the car, sort of make it thicker. And there you have it. Now the thing I'm gonna ink next is actually this pole, because it comes in front of the building and all of the rest of the things here. So even though there are some things to the left, I do want to work on that next. What I think I'll do is kick it into time-lapse and just finish everything up and come back and talk about the final thing, which I already said I will. So, but I'll do that then next time I'm back. Okay, just wanted to mention a quick trick regarding the fence. Because it's made of lines that go in both directions, you can just go ahead and fill it in. Or alternatively, what you can do is sort of hint that. So the way to hint that is, first I'd like to make those lines more prominent, just to make sure it looks good. So you can begin adding those lines, but to not fill in everything. And this will really give off the same feeling of a full fence, but you don't actually need to fill everything up. This helps to sort of give off the feel that it's a bit transparent. And also, when we look at things, like look at a scene, you don't really have a perception of all the details. So it's really okay to not draw all of the details. What I will mention is that for the parts that are closer, I'll fill it up more. But as we go farther away, I can sort of leave these white spaces and it'll look just fine. Now the next thing we're gonna do is darken everything that needs darkening, especially the woman, this pole, the windows, things like this. And I'll be back in a few moments. Okay friends, I'm back. What I've done here is finished all the inking. Currently just adding this small touch to the pole here, just to make it look a bit more rounded. I did it because it's metal, what metal tends to do is reflect things very, from what I see, with very large contrast. So we have this white area and immediately bam, like a black strip, and then I just add a few more lines just to get it to be a little more round and gradual, and perhaps a few lines on this side as well, just like that, just to indicate that it's round. And this is basically it. I can also go ahead and sort of add a layer of hatching to the left side of those buildings, which is a bit darker, but all in all, we're done here. I also did a few layers of hatching here on her jeans, which were a bit darker. I also used some cross hatching for the shadows here of the pole and the bike. And you can, if you want to, add this very light texture to the sidewalk, kind of like that, and then perhaps close off some of the lines. This can be really done just very lightly, even as an afterthought. And that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be wrapping this up all those small touches. And this will probably go into my next book on urban sketching, which I will update you on really soon. It's really a passion project, and it's something that's, from what I see, is missing in the market, something that is aimed directly to beginners or people that like have no idea how to draw, how to sketch, nothing, and they kind of want to, it's a nice doorway into drawing in general, just urban sketching. So this is what I want to achieve with this book. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and until then, take care and have an awesome week.